what are probiotics? What is a probiotic, just definitionally?
The definition has shifted a little bit recently.
Of course.
It is in a simple sense, a live microorganism that when taken in adequate amounts provides a health benefit. So this essentially just means that, when we're talking about a probiotic supplement in this case,
Yep.
It has to be alive, it has to be dosed appropriately, and it has to be studied in humans. So that's kind of where this comes from in general. Joey, that's what you've seen?
Yes.
As far as definition changes?
Exactly. Yes.
I love the studied in humans element too, because so many, and we combat this all the time, so many studies come out and they'll get tailwinds on social media. But if you really read the study, it was a study in rats, or it was a study in, some other species. And you go, that's not necessarily going to translate to humans, but sure. Okay. You can make that overblown claim. That's fine. Anyway. Okay. So it's a live microorganism that properly dosed, has beneficial health outcomes that have been studied and verified in humans.
Yeah. So technically some things that have been labeled probiotics and they're on the shelf, if they don't include strains that have been studied and documented in humans to provide benefit, they're not probiotics by the hard, valuable definition that is now used.
Okay. All right. Interesting. And that is a big shift from what we've known traditionally. What do they do? Why is it someone is taking probiotics?
So, ultimately you're looking for some hard outcome. Maybe you have IBS, maybe you've taken antibiotics, you have antibiotic associated diarrhea. Maybe you're looking for, an effect on the immune system. So those are all reasons why you might use one and generally have, fairly strong evidence for.
Okay. So what we know, we've now defined what a probiotic is. What is it doing in the gut?
If we think about it in terms of, all right, what does our resident microbiome, let's say, look like? Like we've discussed in the past. So this is the bacteria that's already living in your gut. There's trillions of microbes, all sorts of different species. There are, in general, they're stable over time, and they're performing kind of core functions that you would often think of in this context. That's like digestion, fiber fermentation. They're producing short chain fatty acids. They are, playing roles in immune regulation, barrier protection. And so these are what you would consider like permanent or semi-permanent bacteria.
Okay.
This is what's doing the kind of the real heavy lifting. And I like that, again, we just distinguish the good bacteria that's in there versus, what we talk about the new definition of probiotics and also like what a foreign probiotic would be doing in this case.
Yeah.
I think it's helpful to distinguish and, I guess in those terms. Sorry if I didn't.
So are you saying that all of the resident bacteria that's in your gut, that's good, that we want it there, it's beneficial, assuming it's stable, it's not getting out of control or anything like that, that is not definitionally, that's not probiotic?
No, because there's a microbiome in your gut that contains potentially hundreds of different species.
Right.
So I think that if we stick to a probiotic is the external.
Yes.
And we stop trying to think that, well, when I take a probiotic, I'm directly replacing. So when I took this antibiotic, these 3 strains were killed. And then I took this probiotic and they replaced these 3 strains.
Exactly.
I think that's the kind of thinking that kind of needs broken down.
Agreed. So for example, there's, if we look at the native species that I'm referring to, they have all sorts of crazy names that I'll probably butcher. But for example, there's a Bacteroides fragilis, it's called.
My favorite.
There's Akkermansia mucinophilia or phila.
Okay.
These are not found. I'm just mentioning them because they're not found in probiotic supplements.
Okay.
But they are the native species that are, they're long-term. They're really difficult to manufacture. That's a key point. Or else they probably have been tried to be incorporated in these products. But again, like Joey said, we are not replacing what's there. and I know we're like maybe getting hung up on terminology but I think it's important. It's important because I think people conflate these things.
Yeah.
And it helps. And then it might help you down the line understand why you're taking a probiotic in the first place. Again, it's not to go strain for strain and swap what's there. It's to like, hey, you give your gut something to interact with, which then elicits the response, downline that you're looking for.
Okay.
So, to kind of move on from that.
Yeah.
The supplements that we carry, most supplements, they carry it's generally like a pretty small subset of genus and species, which we'll talk about, but a common one that I'm sure of anybody who's ever taken a probiotic has heard of: Lactobacillus acidophilus, Lactobacillus rhamnosus. But that initial term, Lactobacillus, people have probably heard of. Bifidobacterium is another one. And again, these are generally not resident, species native to the microbiome.
Okay.
But again, what you'll find in products.
So they are additive. They are not natively found. Okay.
Exactly. So they survive. They're better able to survive oxygen and manufacturing. They can survive stomach acid, which is a key, kind of a key part. If you're taking a probiotic, you want to make sure that it makes it to the site that you ultimately need it. And again, they have clinical data. So
basically you're trying to just guide the gut back towards health. So if in the most, I don't want to say extreme, but the most kind of obvious examples, you're on an antibiotic and you're having loose stool, you're having some gut issues, you're not feeling good in the gut area. So you're not like replacing maybe what's been broken down, but you're guiding the gut back to good health. And the strains that you're using are very specific. They've been studied to show. So it's not that these now recolonize in the gut. They're kind of delivered to the gut. They've been shown to kind of resolve some of those issues that you're experiencing. And hopefully then the gut can start to replenish the whole microbiome that's kind of been guided back to good health.
Okay. So this is not necessarily a good analogy. Stop me if it's awful. But in the same sense that you would take a medicine to guide the body back to good health, to let the body do its thing normally, that medicine is there to help in the meantime, but it's not a native part of the body.
It's a much better framing.
Yes, that's a very good framing. Yeah. So for example, if you take an antibiotic and some microorganisms that are unrelated to the supplement that you would take, have been broken down and their colony has been disrupted and there's less of them. So part of what good bacteria does, whether it's external, that you're taking or it's already in the gut, is kind of competing with the growth of bad bacteria. So it may be kind of unrelated things. You take an antibiotic and there's this kind of battle of good versus bad in the gut, put it simply, the bad can start winning in that environment. So you take this unrelated bacteria, you put it in, helps to kind of get the good versus bad balance better. And then so as you move forward, the gut's in a healthier spot. So that's a little bit of a raw analogy, but I think it kind of gets you to the point of why supplementing with a strain that's not in certain why it doesn't stay in the gut can help to maybe color what's going on.
Okay.